Happy Monday. It's not actually Monday. It is Sunday for us, but I need to space out my content a little better because I can't just keep releasing 3 days in a row and then having nothing for a full week whilst I watch demos and scour the internet for new places to have takes and new things to be annoyed by. So instead, this will be coming out Monday, but we are recording in advance due to my schedule. Quack, thank you for making the effort of switching back to our old schedule. It's just all over the shop, isn't it, for us right now? Here, there, and
Yeah.
everywhere. But hey, we're keeping it going. Had a lot of time for Counter-Strike this week, or too busy having a girlfriend and a life, or whatever else you've been up to?
This week I had a lot of time for Counter-Strike. I think I've watched basically every game out of the play-in, which was really nice actually for a change. But in particular yesterday I didn't have time because I was helping a friend move apartments. And I wanted to tell you about this apartment because it was kind of a crazy vibe. You like walked into the building and there's a stairwell, but that stairwell was just their apartment and it was a part of their apartment. So you walked in and you like immediately you were inside their apartment, except you weren't because the actual apartment is 2 flights of stairs up, but those stairs were also part of the apartment. So it was a very cool thing, but it was kind of a pain to carry boxes up and stuff. Honestly, I tried to avoid the really heavy stuff.
Really, he always struck me as a muscle-bound freak of a man, just an absolute unit.
No, I was mostly like standing around and I was like, how are we gonna lift this couch until two stronger people came out and carried the couch. Yeah.
As one of the people who would probably qualify as stronger, I think I would expect you to pay for my dinner, but whatever.
I bought beer.
Okay, you can be a little bitch if you brought
Yeah.
beer.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got a lot of Counter-Strike to talk about, but before we get into all of that, we do have to thank the members who get access to a bunch of cool content, including interviews, behind the scenes, prospect demos, and also, most recently, the contributor discussions. First one's coming out next week. It is recorded. Only one contributor actually made it for the episode. We had a bit of a weird time trying to schedule. But it is over an hour long. We discuss 4 topics, fairly in depth. Topics that you don't really hear, I think, discussed really any more. It's more of a lot of these were throwbacks, and some of it was just whatever the contributors had in mind. So check it out when it comes out, members. It will be members only content. And yeah, I think it's actually a pretty interesting listen. Not to toot my own horn, it is basically an hour and 20 minutes of just me talking. Not to get too far up my own ass, but I thought the topics were pretty interesting for the modern game, the modern world. So yeah, Quack, anything to shout out?
No, I was hoping to have an article out today, but I'm still waiting for some answers to some interview stuff, which isn't really coming out. I feel like I had something this week where I was gonna go like, oh yeah, promo this, but I can't remember. I can't remember now. I don't think so.
Come on, tell everyone. We know you've got an OnlyFans waiting to be released.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to get any more than that.
Somebody has an OnlyFans account registered at the Quack URL, so it isn't me.
See, I made sure to grab mine. The moment someone told me that Twitter can be used like directly to log into OnlyFans, create an account to make sure no one gets it, I just immediately connected my. There's nothing posted there. You can go and just see just an empty thing.
That's actually clever.
I probably put a silly bio in that I thought was funny at the time. That says something like, mating positions or whatever. Because I used to stream a lot of chess, for those who don't realize. And that was a command on the old stream at some point, was exclamation mark OnlyFans, just to take people to this empty page. But that bit,
yeah, there's an at Kingt on OnlyFans with the name Tim Clark.
Yeah, that's not me.
No, yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Tim Clark is not me.
We've both been bamboozled.
Yeah, no, but mine is my Twitter name, so it's not just Kingt.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, let's talk some Counter-Strike. Enough conversations about OnlyFans. We got to get into IEM Katowice, don't we? And I'm going to let you go first because chronologically, your initial opening take is,
it's from the play-in. Yeah,
it's from the play-in. So yeah, lead us off. What are we talking here? Because you've got 2 teams listed.
Yeah, there's two teams I mostly watched or mostly paid attention to in the play-in. Obviously, Heroic, who had a bit of a mixed bag because I think they really took big steps in their first two series, where they beat Liquid on LAN after the online win. It was a rematch, obviously, but they beat them on LAN as well, which was a great series. And it was amazing to see them close that. They then play Eternal Fire, and they play it extremely close on both maps. It's 13-11 and 16-14 versus, honestly, what I think there's no doubt about it. Eternal Fire are probably a top 5 side at this point. I don't think I have any. I think I would put them at number 5 if I was doing a live ranking of how this year has gone so far. And they played really close. They definitely could have closed a couple of these maps, but Eternal Fire were just too good in the end. So it's a shame we didn't go to train. I think it would have been fun to go to train. But then the mix. So like at this point, I'm watching Heroic, and I feel like this is like a side which is like close to top 10 in the year so far, with the way they're beating teams like Liquid and Eternal Fire, where we usually consider to be top 10 teams. So they didn't beat Eternal Fire. Anyway, they were running really high, and I was really confident heading into that big game, and then they get smacked. And I think that's the first time we've seen this Heroic team actually have a bit of a struggle this year. Well,
not just a struggle. Like that's the first. Yeah. We went from they're very competitive. They're in a lot of these series. They're playing some really strong Counter-Strike, loving the calls, loving the fragging, to basically, we forgot what we're doing. Hyped. Yeah. Please kill us all one by one, which was shocking, alarming, horrifying. A variety of things that basically just mean, I don't know what happened. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, I have no idea about that game. Because you can't even really say, oh, they had a bad day, or like this guy had a bad day. That isn't really the case. Tenier still put in a really good performance.
Yeah, Tenier put in a shift, and everything else just didn't work. Everything else just went wrong. I don't know how.
It's not. They don't lose 26-6 because Sunpius had 13 and 29. That's not why. Like,
it's not just why.
No, like Sunpius does better. I still don't think they win the game. So I don't know. I think Big are really weird right now because they sometimes, I don't know. To me, they
sometimes
look so
maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Yeah, to me they look so good, but their results so far are like really looking like it's the same form they had in Shanghai, except for like where they just blazed the opening stage. Well, no, they 3-2, but yeah, they played good in the opening stage. Because they have like
the opening stage, they do go and lose a series to Furia. They lose a best of 1 to FlyQuest. This is just big right now. They go to the Dutch Masters Season 2 finals and lose 2-0 to Arrow, and they come in, beat Seoul, lose to G2 at Blast Bounty. All right, whatever. That's not too alarming.
Took a
lose to Wildcard in the IEM Katowice Play-In. You think, oh, it's just big. They're kind of shit. And then they beat Imperial FE because it's Imperial FE. Then just smoke Heroic, and you're like, what the fuck? This is not normally. They took a map off FaZe, and you're like, that's just but FaZe are incredibly weak looking, and they take a map off them. You're like, if you're playing at this sort of blazing pace, where you absolutely annihilate Heroic, who have beaten numerous better teams than you this year.
Yeah.
How are you not able to at least, upset, in inverted commas, a team who have looked incredibly mid this year, and you're coming in on this heater with them completely off guard, cold cocks, and you just, again, revert to the norms. Like, QB has some nice routes. You're like, oh, nice. Oh, hyped. Probably outrated, what people expect his rating to be on the year. But all in all, like, it's just nowhere near the same level of dominance, nowhere near the same level of assertiveness. Like, what? Pick a lane, Big. Like, be who you need to be.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of the story of Heroic so far. I'm not really sure what it says about this. I think they still put in a positive performance. I don't think they really fall at the final hurdle, because Big are realistically the easiest opponent they played in the play-in. Maybe even so far in the year. It's
all year, yes, because they've beat 3D Max, beat Liquid twice, edged against Eternal Fire. Let's just put it that way. Like they lost in the maximum amount of rounds, pretty much. Like,
Yeah.
sure, we didn't play quadruple overtime both maps, but we lost in the maximum amount of rounds, and they're losing to literal clutches, just insane clutches to decide these maps.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, okay, Eternal Fire have been competing at this higher level for a little while longer. Some of their players for quite a long time. They did, in the big moments, win insane rounds that you didn't really rely on. You maybe had a good game plan, executed a lot of things very well. It was close. You're a legit, though, danger, like probably looking on course to being a steady tier 1 team this year. Like, that's the way they've been playing.
Hell yeah.
And
I mean,
then
even against Spirit with the stand-in, they still played at 13-11.
Exactly.
Like this is the first bad game, yeah.
Against all odds, right? And then they play Nuke and get trounced. You're like, all right, fine, whatever.
That was gonna happen. Yeah.
We get a positive, I think, some pious series. Everyone else just kind of gets stomped, and you're just thinking, that's okay. It's Spirit. I don't expect Na'Vi to be able to beat them in a series. I'm not really realistically expecting Heroic to win. It just be, it's a nice close map pick. That's fair. It's a fair outcome for you with a stand-in. But no, that big series is just, I think it's a despicable just collapse. Like, something needs to be valued. It's not the first time we've seen this Heroic core, back when they were Sangul, have just an utter collapse right when you're getting excited,
Yeah.
I think there's something to be examined there, because I don't really get what's going on.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what happened in the game. I didn't see like anything jump out at me to be like, this is why you're losing. I have no idea. It's probably a fun demo review if somebody just checked that out. But yeah, anyway. That was
I've seen some of it, and the game is just like, Big do what they want and hit every shot. Heroic seem lost, die.
Yeah. Well, in any case, it's an experience. It was going to happen at some point, and it's better to learn from it, and maybe they can move on. I think it's still a positive event for them, even if they do the fall at the easiest opponent they played so far. I think it's still an event they can take a lot of positives away from. The other team I was watching, who also have a lot of positives to take away from this event, was Imperial FE. I think most people would have been watching these games. The Furia game
these games always do super well, like in terms of the viewership numbers. I mean, firstly, they played Furia in their first game, which is always a big draw because of Brazil's devout worship of their own people. And then, the
it's
other
effectively
games,
a
people are
derby.
still watching.
The game is effectively a derby between Imperial and Furia. Like
I guess in a way, yeah.
A lot of the Imperial fans are Brazilian. Like a lot of their socials go directly out in Portuguese, even for like the female team sometimes. And they're always, especially if they're playing Furia as well, they're definitely going to have a big Brazilian audience. But yeah, it was a crazy, crazy, crazy game. The MIBR or the Mirage map was it was insane. I didn't expect that to happen. I would have expected Furia to probably do a bit better, but it's also like the bottom line of this is they win it with Tori. Like they win Mirage if they had Tori. I don't think there's any question
so
about that
at all. I think that's a completely baseless statement to make. Like I've seen people make it. I'm just like, oh, based on what? Like based on what?
It's based on the fact that Bubble is shit in the server. Because I saw, I'm gonna find this guy's name. Somebody
Bubble had the most dog shit T side of Mirage because he spent the entire game being traded. The entire T side of Mirage. CT side, he has multiple multi kills that decide rounds. Like I don't think people are aware of how terrible that take is.
I am gonna find you something, which is somebody in Maui's next group, B-Trams. He's posted a bunch of stats. Bubble, I think, out of pretty much anyone in Katowice, had the most what they've dubbed clawback and bozo, like clawback kills and bozo deaths. Bubble was, he was the second worst in terms of bozo deaths, as in dying in a man advantage.
I know its context,
Yeah, but for the viewers, dying in a man advantage and then losing the round, Bubble was the second worst player at the entire play-in.
Who's worst?
In that regard? Vexite. Vexite was the worst. Dexter and SHR were slightly better than Bubble, but those four make up the group, which is like fully outside the cluster. Like none of the other, like Zaz was bang on average in both metrics, in both clawback kills and bozo deaths. So clawback kills are the inverse. When you have a man disadvantage, you find a frag and then you win the round. So Zaz was bang on average. Everybody else was like, in the reasonable territory.
Is Bubble high rated for the clawbacks as well, though?
No, he's dog shit.
Because you said he was high on the clawbast also, and I was like,
oh, sorry, he's very high on the bozo deaths and very low on the clawbacks. So he's very much in the worst corner, as opposed to someone like Rez, who was very low on bozo deaths and very high in clawback kills, for example. So GamerLegion obviously having a great play-in as well. So Bubble is dog shit in the server. The calls were fucking nowhere. Like, they were fucking nowhere. And the added disadvantage of not having a coach. Because even if Bubble is in the server, the entire point of having a coach is that they have a different perspective. That's like one of the main advantages of having a coach behind you, is that you have a non-playing perspective watching the game. You can figure out that, like, we need a timeout here. We need, something positive here. You're doing this wrong and we need to change that. That's one of the huge advantages of having a coach. Even if the coach is still there, he is. He's playing. He doesn't think in that same way. He doesn't think about, those things that a coach normally would think about. Tori is mechanically much better, and the calls looked significantly more cohesive when Tori was playing as Navi. So the fact that they have a 12-11 lead and they lose the final round from a man advantage, like Ana gets an opening pick on ramp and then it's an AXEC, and they lose that round. And then it's overtime and they lose 16. I can't remember if it was 16 or 13 or 14.
It's 16-13. And
yeah.
I mean, we are just... They did casually...
It's conjecture.
It is complete conjecture. We're also casually going, the calls were shit. They did happen to be in every correct position the entire CT half, just to make a comeback from, down 11-3. But yeah. Fuck the IGL coach stand-in. Clearly, if they had their main IGL, we'd have magically won the game. Fuck off. I'm done with that. I don't want to hear it. Give them credit for everything they did super well, that entire CT comeback, because they did so much well and played much better than Furia. Furia looked like they were half-arsing their entire T-side. To be fair, I've then watched them play more games. That's just how they play. They're bad.
Yeah.
But I hate this. I just hate this. If they're Tory, they'd have won.
I think they would. I mean, look.
An elephant lands on a butterfly lands on an elephant's trunk. It sneezes. Hitler's fucking rising to power. The butterfly effect is a thing for a reason. Like, conceptually, why are we just throwing this out there? And then everyone's like, yeah, this is fucking perfect. Like, what are we talking about, lads? Just leave it. Just talk about what's actually happened and that was actually productive, rather than give me this bullshit hypothetical that means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. Just talk about the CS. They played great CS.
They played great CS.
Just focus on that. Focus on the crossfires they built, the way they played around their smokes, the way they used their flashbangs. So many flash assists that were just so gloriously free, and yet we're talking about, what if Tori was here? Can't we just be happy with what was so good about the game?
Big what if. It's a big loss not having her there.
It's not a big what if.
It is a big what if. It is a big what if.
They're losing the series no matter what. I think they lose the map no matter what. The fact that they're able to claw back despite the odds was fantastic by itself. Just talk about that. That's what's annoying to me.
The base of my entire point is they wouldn't even have to claw back as much if they had Tori there, because I think they would have played a significantly better T side. And on the CT side, I don't think that's something Bubble is uniquely doing. I think it's entirely possible. Like, Tori could have called an equally good CT side.
I'm not saying otherwise, but I'm not. I'm just saying. My entire point is there's no point talking about this. It didn't happen, and what did happen was great.
What did happen was excellent. It was excellent counter strike for the entire CT side, and that comeback is historic.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, like, if you watch, especially Ana's POV for the entire Mirage CT side, like, she's taking a variety of different pick lines. She's playing around their util better than Fury played around their own util, like around mid and things like that. She has a far better understanding of what she's doing and why. Like, this is the part that should be highlighted, not, what if Tori was here? Come on, stop slapping away a pizza just because you think you could have a steak. Like, eat the fucking pizza. It's delicious. It's fucking delicious.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. The counter-strike was excellent.
Yeah, and then,
but
Dust 2 was...
yeah, but that was always going to happen. It was always going to happen.
I mean, always. I thought... Come on. I mean, after that CT side, the fact that they got absolutely crushed with their CT Dust 2, I thought they could have done a lot more in terms of putting up resistance. Like, there was...
Yeah, but I think Furia also just a good Dust 2 team, because they played wildcard. They beat them 13-5 as well. And
yeah. I was just hoping for more, I guess, in that sense. The way they played,
yeah, that's true.
on
That's true.
Mirage CT side, we saw a lot of positive things. But then Case
I think
Rato decided he was a star again.
Yeah, I also think like I saw like a lot of people say, I saw some people say like about Zaz's clutch in overtime, which took the I think it was it took the 13th round.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of people say like, oh, why is she playing like this? This is such weird decision making. I thought it was perfect. Like, I'm not just saying that because it worked out. I thought like, okay, so she has the smoke here, she plays around it, like she gets a frag there, and then like she jumps up next to the smoke.
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect positioning. And
Hang
then
on, I'm rewatching it whilst you talk through it.
yeah, and then like she's found out while she's hiding in the smoke, the decision to do there is to press the issue, and like force fallen because if she just stays there, she's gonna get naded, she's gonna get smoke sprayed. She has to take action there. She does it. I saw somebody go like, "That's completely random. That's complete stupid decision making. It's lucky it worked out." It was excellent. I think that was an excellent job, and it's not just because it worked out. Like as I said, it's just good decision making. Like there's a whole bunch of different ways you can play a clutch, and sometimes being a bit random, sometimes being a bit unexpected is the good play to make. But I think that like, okay, you have a smoke, you play around it, find a frag, you push through it, to find a favorable timing. That's, I'm not going to say textbook, but it's completely valid. Like that's exactly how a lot of people would have played that clutch. So
yeah.
I don't think she won it because some people say she just won it because she's stupid. No, that's absolutely not the case.
That's something ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. I think she did excellent.
Yeah, I do have a problem with, and I now watched it back just to remind myself of the round entirely. No, it's the first kill obviously has to get it. Bomb's been planted, there's a smoke, spams the position. Good. The second kill, well, in between the first and second kills where I have the problem, if you're going to criticize anything she does, gormlessly shifting around in the open with a smoke in your hand, I would slap you, like in my comment notes, like my demo notes, I would be saying idiot, just in all caps, like why are you out in the open with a smoke in your hand, trying to right click it?
That's the one thing, but that's also not really something which wins the round in the end.
But no, what wins the round is the fact that she then, has the smoke cover, uses it, and then yes, pushing the smoke on the way she did, absolutely the right play. Absolutely the right play. She can't just sit there and get stuck all round. Like she has to try something. She's already shown going up. She tries to push around and Fallen should get the kill. I'm going to be blunt, but she is the shot. All good.
Yeah,
good clutch. Super. Solid.
Yeah, I mean I talked last time we talked about them. We talked about cracking some eggs and making omelets, but it seems some people are still upset about having to eat those eggs.
Yeah, this is a metaphor entirely in your head, but that's okay.
Yep.
You've said this to me a few times, and I've always just gone, okay. But let's transition into my main point, which perfectly ties into all this. And I've quite simply put what I truly believe. Furia have one tier 1 player.
Is it Cello?
No, it's obviously Queserato. Jesus Christ. I picked him in my play-in fantasy because I'm like, opening matchup is Imperial FE. He's the most aggressive rifler on this team. He's going to take a lot of fights. He's going to win them for the most part, and that was true. That should be 3 points, and it was. But all in all, when you watch them play, especially that game against Na'Vi, where you're thinking, Na'Vi are a very well-prepped team. They have great systems, great understanding of how to play off each other. But Furia, they've played a decent amount of Dust too. Surely they have multiple ways of approaching it. And they have multiple ideas and tricks. No, they just, honestly, everything I saw Furia do, I've seen them do 100 times. They did it without any special conviction or any, explicit timings. Their util sets, basic. And Na'Vi just played everything 10 times faster, 10 times better, whilst also not having to play a particularly special brand of CS. I mean, Immer got creative around short, the way good short players do, to make a few, round-winning kills. You'll see Flammus on CT side be like this as well. He's just like, oh yeah, I'm going to get aggressive on this timing because, there's not been a smoke here for a while. There's not been a flash presence mid. Everything seemed to fade. I'm going to clear it for info, but also stay aware of all the angles, hit some headshots. Nice, tidy shit. But all in all, you watch them play that map and you think, this was your pick. What is Mirage going to look like? And the reality was abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. If not for some Queserato, wizardry, this team might just lose Mirage 13-0, and we're talking about, the nation cries. during that World Cup. You know, we remember the nation of Brazil cried. The Counter-Strike nation of Brazil would have just had to cry there because like you got so totally embarrassed by a team in theory, on paper, you probably have the best player on the server when he's actually, you know, given a chance to win more than one round. Case Rato could be the best player on the server between these two teams. Instead, you just get absolutely annihilated. And I'm genuinely worried because like Furia is not a tier 1 AWPer in terms of the shots he can hit right now.
Fallen, yeah.
Did I say what did I say?
You said Furia.
Oh, Fallen, yeah, I meant Fallen, my bad. He's not a particularly detailed or like creative caller in any sense, probably because he has to focus on his damn scope sometimes, like a lot of the time. There's only so much I think he can do. Yuri is just off it and has been for a year, I swear. And while Skulls has the ability to hit an occasional nice shot, he's not really set up to take many good fights, and he also doesn't seem to be that kind of rifler you just leave and he lets himself, like, you know, work. He's not that guy.
Yeah.
He's just not that effective as a player like that. So I genuinely am confused, because Cello's an okay role player, but like, I think 3D Max has 3 players who can do the exact same thing he does, game in, game out. Let's put it that way. I do not think this team has another legit tier 1 player, and certainly not another legit tier 1 star, despite having some of the allegedly biggest names in Brazil. They are shockingly underpowered, and I think it's becoming too big a problem to just ignore. Like, they are dreadful and hampering their own scene, basically, by continuing to exist in this form.
Yeah. There's a very interesting thing going on right now, which has been covered in a decent amount on Twitter and stuff. Liquid skip inclusion of Poca and the implications that has for the Austin Major invites in the Americas ranking. The battle for the top 1 spot there is entirely between Furia and Liquid, and Furia definitely could have closed that battle entirely at this point. They could have, but they're just too shit. So I don't like, yeah. It has some pretty big implications what they're doing. Because Liquid have sort of served, honestly, to me, Liquid have served up Furia a free spot to make it straight into the top 16 in Major. Because Liquid are skipping Cluj-Napoca, which is gonna be a big, you know, they're missing out a lot on that. And Furia are just kind of squandering it by not really being good. I'm not sure about Furia. I think there were definitely times Yuri would have been a very good player next to Caserato.
There have been times, just outright.
There have been
but
times.
Currently, you watch him, he can't convert anything.
Yeah, there's times Cello looked like a, you know, slam dunk potential tier 1 player, not on Furia but pre-Furia, and I'm not really sure what's going on. Like, you know, when Cello was around on MIBR and Imperial, he was looking really good.
Honestly, Cello for me is, and the reason I made the comparison to 3D Max is like, he has a certain like quickness of aim. Like I can see him essentially, like if I'm talking in a team with 3D Max's system, he could basically be Jocko or Gravity.
Yeah.
Like he could be both. Like depends on how much setup he gets. Like they're both relatively sharp players who are just, you know, playing slightly different roles in a team that's very role based. Like it's very big idea everyone's bought into, rather than small little things to set up all these different super like sharp players. Like it's not really that complex a system in that sense. Where they build their quality is through massive buy-in to very decisive ideas. And that's what I'm saying. Cello is like, yeah, he's a tier 1 role player. I guess I can give him that credit, because honestly, I don't really dislike what I see from him as much as I do from Yuri, especially. Oh lord, like everyone will remember this. It's in the highlight packages when he's in ladder and he has 2 Na'Vi players, sprays, managed to hit 3 bullets on both and just dies. You're like, gotten him for A1. There's no excuse. There's just no excuse. It's so easy. just aim a bit higher.
Yeah. Because I'm really wondering, there's some stuff like Furia have taken a pivot recently in regards with their team structure, where they have in the fall season last year, they had 3 coaches on the team. It was the Side, the main coach, and then they also had both Innershine and Lucid as analysts, or assistant coaches rather. Basically sitting at home watching demos, trying to figure out what they can do better. They dropped them in the new year, and they instead signed Hepa, also as an assistant coach. But it does seem like, compared to what they had before, which was they had Guerri, you know, who I don't ever think was, these days I think what the fuck was this guy doing as coach of Furia for 5 years when I don't think he really ever had any tactical vision. And then they had this city guy assistant coaching for a while. I am just sort of wondering, like, so they have this pivot to, like, to me, it seems like they're trying to figure out their issues by just throwing a bunch of resources at it. And I'm wondering at what timeline is this going to start working out? Because to me, Furia still look really simplistic. Like you say, it's the same shit they've always done a million times. And
same shit everyone does as well. That's always the
Yeah.
problem. It's like, do you know what's a really standard way to play Dust 2? Why don't we throw the 2 smokes to get us out into mid?
mm,
Are you going to do this in combination? No, we are going to take mid control at 1 minute 10. Okay, how? Just that. That's just how you're going to...
mm,
And you've got contingency plans for a short push? No, we don't. You're aware of the tunnels? I think Skull's in that vague general vicinity. Right. You're not going to also throw an exec for B and try to, play with some pace? No. Oh, we're just walking out. Oh, and taking jewels. Right. Fuck me. It's yeah.
It's kind of weird. So I'm just wondering, like, when is this extra emphasis on analysis going to pay off? Evil Geniuses did the same thing. I think they had like 4 or 5 coaches on contract at the same time at one point.
At some point, you just have to think, if you're just spamming signings, you're just a shit org. If that's what Evil Genius did.
I'm gonna tell you. I think Hepa was at Evil Geniuses at one point, but he was one of about 4 coaches working at the same time. Because they had, I'm gonna count Valence as one of those guys because Valence was like the data scientist.
Yeah.
So yeah, Valence is now he's the head of gaming, but he used to be the head of data analysis, something. Yeah, head of data science. You also had Hepa on there as an analyst. You had I'm gonna find all the names. You had Sheikh Zula at one point as an assistant coach. You had Mad Cow, who's also a coach, but he was a player manager. You had Munster as a strategic coach. Then you had Hepa and Malik as strategic coaches at the same time. And you had at the same time you obviously had the head coach who was axed at one point, and another time it was Vorborg. And another time it was Malek who was the main coach. Like, there's so many resources here. Daps was there. Like, there's so many resources in this team who were trying to coach this team, and nothing was ever happening. And to me, it looks like Fury are doing the same thing. And at first, I was like, "Cool, you've got some quality names here. Maybe this is something which could actually be beneficial. Maybe you can work with this." Now things happened, and I don't think anything's gonna happen at this point. So yeah, I'm kind of down on Furia. Not even the best team in Brazil at the moment.
Yeah.
Maybe they are. I think Pain and MIBR kind of fell at the finish line when it comes to the debate about who is the best in Brazil.
The problem is both Pain and MIBR don't quite have... Well, they have their own problems. MIBR, for one, I do think still, as much as we try to hype up Drop, he still isn't that good of an IGL by himself. And the team around him, while structurally, just doesn't quite work. It just doesn't quite work currently. They're still trying to figure it out. And Pain, they just don't have a Queserato. And that's been a big of an issue for them. Because you look, and Davideus, he's great, but then they get slaughtered by GamerLegion, who are the better coach team. I think by extension, probably the better led team in CS2. And then none of their individuals just find the form they need. And they go into the Astralis series, you think, well, if you're not me, you probably think Pain are going to win this. Because Pain are the kind of the darlings of tier 1.5. And again, mentally, they just don't seem all that aware of what's going on. Astralis play better CS than them for that one series that you don't expect. Because again, Pain, I think, had a bit of a heroic moment where you're like, what happened to your level? I get it. GamerLegion, you got ashed. All right.
Yeah.
Cool, recover. Lord, they did not. They really did not. So,
from what you're saying, it sounds like if you smacked MIBR and Pain together, you would have a team which would beat Furia in a heartbeat.
You put Insani on Pain, and I'm buying a jersey. They're winning a major.
Yeah.
no, maybe not that quickly, but that's the sort of vibe. They take a massive leap. If they have a star who's not only a star, but also one that's super comfortable against top opposition, comfortable when things don't go well. Insani has been that guy, and he's currently just on a team that doesn't make sense. That's just the biggest issue he has. He was able to beat Astralis, He's a very, very, very strong rifler. Has been for years. So no, I'm. It's just Furia got the matchup in the opening round to get them through that stage. If they have to open up against Astralis, we're probably not talking about them in the main event. And then the wildcard game, you're welcome. Daddy came through. It took him a map to warm up, but Daddy came through. That's it.
Yeah. And it's in overtime. Like an overtime map, I feel like is as close to a toss-up you can come sometimes. Wildcard had every opportunity to close that out, I think.
They did, but again, Queserato.
Yeah.
Queserato.
Yep. Is he back to form? Was last year just an anomaly?
Yeah. Last year was. I mean, he had events and spikes and moments. He carried them to a completely BS Rio finish, really.
Yeah.
Along with a couple other overperformances. But no, he is back to playing some of his better CS. I'm going to give him that credit. I definitely think he deserves that credit. So yeah, let's wrap up on Furia for that. I have lots more to talk about though when it comes to Katowice. Let's talk about VPG2.
Yep.
Just two teams seeing who can have the worst T side, and they did it in different ways. That's the fun part, I think, for me. It's not just they both played a weak T side; it's that they did it in almost opposing ways. Because G2, Snacks, you impress me. You really do. To go B 5 times, 4 times into the stack, into then going A 5 times, 4 times of which were into the stack, takes some doing. To do it all basically in a row. To just have zero read on what's the correct bomb site to hit, what to do in the mid round, like some of the connector pops, really, man? Multiple times? Come on. It was an ugly, ugly T-side that just never found the right place and moment. On the other side of things, Virtus Pro, did you have a plan? Unfortunately, I criticize Snacks because I think the plan was just wrong over and over again, especially on that Mirage. Then Virtus Pro, what's the idea? What's the idea? Sometimes I genuinely do not know what you're trying to do, and which is very depressing considering when I watch a VPCT side, a lot of the time I'm like, yeah, I get what Electronic's doing in combination with that other player. I know who's being set up where and how, who's being left to kind of roam and why it makes sense in this timing. Like, players just play good CS on CT side. They're just a bunch of dudes playing good CS. But on T side, when I need a leader to figure out a cohesive game plan, it seems like it's just, they're still trying to play just cool guys playing good CS. And I'm like, I need a fucking plan. Like, this is not a plan. This is gibberish. Like, this is nothing. And I'm very frustrated watching Virtus Pro just kind of die. Just in a lot of times, just disparate manners. And I'm like, these two really slugged it out to play the ugliest Counter-Strike possible. And I don't know what you think about this game, but you watched some VP in the play-in, I hope? Like, 'cause they were in the play-in too. Yeah. They did have to battle through.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't like what I see on half the game. The problem is the other half is very cohesive, and I can't hate Electronics. He's very involved in that side of it, you know? He's very involved in the CT stuff that works.
Yeah. I don't really know what to think about them. I am very much looking forward to the potential timeline for 2025, which is that Electronic only looks like a good IGL when he's playing against G2. Playing against Snacks.
But only on the CT side.
Only on the CT side against Snacks.
He did not put up a good fucking performance on the T sides. Oh yeah.
No, I think, I don't know. I've been openly critical of VP quite a bit. I think this is a very weird move in terms of Electronic trying to be the IGL for a third time, despite it horribly failing the first 2 times.
Yeah, I think it's better than him trying to just sit on a team and cause fucking problems and be a second caller. Like, I prefer the idea of a team going, okay, fine, here you go.
Yeah.
Here you go.
But it seems he doesn't learn
We'll get
from
into
that.
the other half of this, of like the Jame side of it. I have put it in the notes, so we'll get to that part in a bit. But just on the Electronic side, I do think it's fine. I like Virtus Pro committing to his vision and telling him, go ahead and do it. Let him give you some more talent. Here's Flammus. But the T side so far is just Bro.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going up against Eternal Fire in the next game later today. Were we putting this out on Monday?
Yeah, we're putting it out on Monday, so yeah.
Okay, so this game has already happened for the viewers. I'm assuming VP might play maybe one close map, but then Eternal Fire just win 2-0. I think the Eternal Fire are straight into playoffs.
If I had to put a bet on it, I'd go Eternal Fire 2-1.
Yeah.
I think VP play. It's not that VP I think have a good pick to go to. Let me just check the maps. I'm just making sure I'm not going crazy.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right.
I think instinctively they're not necessarily in terms of bands. Yeah, one band's Nuke, one band's Ancient. In terms of picks,
they've picked Dust 2 and Ancient so far.
Yeah,
mostly
VP. I think if they can pick Mirage or Train, I don't like the idea of playing Train.
I don't like the idea of picking
but
Train.
I think they could pick Train.
Yeah.
They might be able to win a Train because we just haven't seen a lot of VP on it, a lot of Eternal Fire on it. They only have 2 maps played, and you think, are they sure they won? I think both those maps. Like
maybe.
Yeah, they've got 100% win rate on Train, so they've won them both. But I think that's maybe the place where you have the most prep for yourself. You have the most anti-material for them. That's just the fact that I don't think Inferno's off the cards this match.
Well, we're gonna see in a bit, and you guys already know.
Yeah, you guys know what happened. So in the comments, tell us we're geniuses or idiots. Either way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't know what to think about VP, but I think I don't know. We'll see what happens. G2, I'm not too. It's another fun game. The game I'm actually going to be watching today is G2 versus Falcons. Just briefly on that, because we have Nico against G2 in an elimination game in Katowice.
Oh lord,
last place elimination for the team, which loses. And it's going to be Falcons. Like, I don't think.
Oh, it has to be. Unfortunately, the way they've been playing, it just kind of has to be.
Yeah, it would be great for them if they took this, even if which is I don't think it's unreasonable, because you just need to find a big activation in Tessis and Nico, and that's about it. But good activation in them and a bit of an off day from Monacy, and then I think Falcons can take this for sure. But then it would be a great win for them. It would be a nice turnaround moment where I would sort of feel like, okay, Falcons are still on track to where they're supposed to be. But I don't think they do it, because I think G2 Monacy will just lock in. Like, he doesn't want to go out in that place in Katowice. So, yeah, he's just going to be fucking lasering. So, yeah.
Yeah, I have I have a worry just generally nagging me about how Muncy's been playing so far this year. Just in terms of being very up and down and missing some easy shots sometimes that I just find a bit concerning. Also, seeing a lot of Mabs MD essentially being hard traded on T side rather than ever finding any success. And I don't just mean he's not ever used right or doesn't ever have a chance. There are times where he is, he's basically got the Nico freedom. He takes an heads up duel and just loses it, and I'm like, but when on CT side, I need literally a miracle double kill to save a round. The stack, wrong. Snacks, dead. Malbs, double kill. And you're like, oh, shit. Oh. Yeah. That's the guy. That's the guy I fucking made prospects about. But then on T sides, there are times where I'm like, he's not being productive as far as being a useful member of the team, unless he's being traded sometimes. And I just find that a bit concerning. That was just a trend I noticed in these 2 maps, but it's been a bit stronger across the year. With CT side rampant, T side struggle. So yeah, something to keep an eye on. I think the form of G2's individuals, because they are heavily their winning is heavily predicated on that, on those individuals being able to hit big doubles, big triples.
Yeah.
While Snacks lurk somewhere else. All right, I got another topic. This one could be shorter. This one can be shorter because we are 45 minutes in.
Yikes.
We did spend 18 minutes on basically the play-in, but still. Not been that much CS played. I had a moment as I was watching the replays of Vitality 3D Max. Firstly, Gravity. Oh, magnificent. Keep talking shit like that. And keep it in French, so everyone else has to go, ooh, what does that mean? Hell, that's my French friend. I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. Some of the best trash talk I've heard in a while. But just in round 1 of Inferno, we have just the microcosm of the entire ZywOo Vitality narrative debate between essentially warring camps. Let me describe the setup. We have Mezzy in Pit. Just, he's not hiding, he's playing Pit fairly actively. Like, he's trying to spot for info. On site, tucked into the corner, not on top of the box, but next to the box, is ZywOo with dualies. I don't remember if he had armor, like if he was like fully like god mode, like hero mode, his armor dualies go win the round. But he had dualies at least. I doubt he had no body armor, but I can't guarantee that. But what matters is Mezzy in Pit gets absolutely swarmed from short and apps and goes down without hitting a shot. The narrative of ZywOo has no help, the camp that hates everyone on Vitality except ZywOo, immediately, obviously, pitchforks screaming, burn the witch, Mezzy has died without getting a kill whilst anchoring, again, how are we supposed to win games?
Yeah.
And then there's my camp that watches ZywOo, who has 4 players basically running at Mezzy with their backs to him, sit tucked way too long, kill one player when they eventually kind of swing him, die, and I'm like, that's the shit that loses you the round by itself. Because not only, yes, Mezzy anchoring doesn't do enough. Sure. But you had a guy right there to play off his contact to win the round. And he doesn't. We can only watch him get set up for success so much and not be critical.
Yep.
You can't expect us to just overlook it and go, oh, Apex is cool, man. Apex is cool. He's got the setup to win the round. If he doesn't, we have to say it. He didn't do it. And as much as, of course, there's a series, yeah, they do win the series 2-0. Inferno, they bring back. But honestly, 3D Max, they played a more appealing style. And they played a way more confidently in their system. It's just by the end of that, Inferno, Rops had come alive. And Rops was able to rescue some rounds with some insane shooting. But just that very first pistol, I was like, right there. That's the discourse that we've been having about like Vitality for about 1.5 years, maybe more, where it's half these people I just want to burn every role player at the stake for having the audacity to set up ZywOo, but also at the same time not get all the kills. Yeah. And then me, who's like, I kind of get that they sometimes shit the bed. So does your prodigal son. Like, so does, I mean, it's not what that expression means, but so does your, like, chosen savior. Yeah. He cocks it up plenty. And that one round for me was just like on a platter. Like, that's the debate right there. And statistically, ZywOo cast 100%, 1 KPR, perfect round. HLTV rating, wow, he's another 1.6 series. Those little details, though, where you're like, this is why we get annoyed. The people who actually watch the demos will get frustrated.
Yep. I mean, you are a well-known ZywOo hater.
Of course, yeah. I've never blamed anyone else. Never had anything to say about Apex's temperament or how he comms with his players. The ability for role players to actually play their anchor spots properly. I've never had any of those conversations on any shows. You know, I'm just sat here shitting on ZywOo for the clicks. Like, that's all I do. That's all I do. It's exasperating. Really, just to try and force these narratives. I have to put in so much work. Like, the mental toll to try and squeeze some way to blame ZywOo out of every single game lost. It's tough. It's tough. I mean, I'm going to be honest. And then, on the other side, like trying to give everyone else credit other than ZywOo, that also takes a lot of work, man. That's a lot of work. That keeps me sharp in going into my old age. At 27, I need to be careful. Now, Alzheimer's is creeping in. I need to fucking keep myself mentally focused, and that's how I do it. It's by falsifying narratives about specifically ZywOo.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely believe that last year Flamesy was the best player on Vitality. So I'm entirely in your camp.
On my show, you can't be doing this. That's my show. Another think we're just conspiring.
Damn it. It's fun to watch them, if for nothing else, just to laugh at them.
Yeah, yeah. But no, that was just the entire debate in that one round, and that was what entertained me. But yeah,
Mm.
no, one of my favorite series to watch, mostly for that Inferno, because it was back and forth. We had the clash of styles, the way that the players play, but also the clash of ego and Gravity talking so much brilliant shit talk as well. Like I don't like going woo at the other person, whatever. Picking up your mouse and telling them to click. It's just that's good quality shit. That's
I
what we
love
need,
this
I
shit talk.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I love the stage setups. Actually, honestly, we need stage setups where not only do the teams see each other, they can hear each other talk shit. I need them close enough. Like I want them right up against each other. Like two pit bulls about to like rip each other to shreds for some gambler's fucking pleasure. Like we need them that close. That's what I
Hell
want,
yeah.
because that kind of shit talk is amazing. Right.
Yeah.
Do you have another team you want to lock in on, or are we good to move on to some other events?
No, I think I might need to just mention GamerLegion. They
Okay.
played great play-in. They won, beat against Saw. That's an expected win. They destroyed Pain, which I think was unexpected considering that was a close game played just 2 weeks ago. But they've obviously worked something out. Everybody's talking about Rez like he's back in Oakland. And they beat Mouse in the opening game, which honestly some people said that was expected. I expected it to be a close game, but and I saw the upset potential. I think if there was one game I was going to pick yesterday to be an upset, it was that one. And it's not impossible we see GamerLegion in Katowice playoffs, because on the other side of the bracket is Mongols and Liquid, and that's definitely going to be the toughest game GamerLegion have played so far, either one of them. But I would probably say both of them are winnable, to be honest. And when this comes out, that game hasn't actually happened yet, so that's honestly my prediction. We haven't seen Mongols this year. I have no idea what they look like. They might look, I would hope they've used their break, in a positive way, and we can see them really start destroying this year. But yeah,
Yeah, what's interesting
um,
here is GamerLegion essentially get a runway into that game because
yeah,
they don't play today. They watch their opponent Monday play
yeah,
start to finish. I mean, I'm going to be honest. Either Ash is doing this or he should do this. The entire team is sat in front of that match on a projector
yeah,
screen, something, watching the entire game. Like that's just the
yeah,
necessity, I think. Like you sit there, you're like, oh, what the hell is that? What's this gap? Blah, blah, blah. Like you're already doing film study live. Like you just have that
yeah,
free setup. I think that's going to be a huge boon for them. And I think if they have to play
yeah,
Mongols in the game Monday, like if Mongols win against Liquid, and they play Mongols CS, lower bracket GamerLegion, I think they lose that series to Mongols.
probably.
But if
Their
they
run
get to
there is
play
probably going to be,
Liquid,
yeah,
I think that's a win. I've got that as a win. Like so,
yeah,
then they're in
probably,
the playoffs.
yeah. They could be in the playoffs either way, because I think their lower bracket run is going to be first either Furia or Astralis, and
Astralis.
then probably Mouse in the final game, which is a game they've already won.
Mm.
So anything could happen.
Oh no,
Actually, it might be
Navi.
Navi. Now that I'm looking at, yeah, okay, never mind.
Yeah, it's probably Navi.
Probably a loss then. But
Yep. Yeah, I
honestly,
think they
yeah,
need
they
to
have
win the
such a
upper
good runway.
bracket.
Yeah, they have
Like,
such a good runway as well, because it's not only that their opponent's game is the day earlier. It's also early in the day, like
yep,
it's the 1:30 game today,
they
and
got
then
all
they
night.
have and then also for the next day they don't even have the first game on Monday. They have the middle game. Like they've probably got 24 hours to prep for this game, and considering how prep heavy GamerLegion are, that's very winnable. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, they should
let's
have
see
a
how
good idea of how to win that game. Like that.
yeah,
That's for sure.
let's see how the Asian derby between Liquid and Mongols goes today.
The Asian
That is,
derby. I mean,
it
you're not
is
wrong. It's technically true.
no,
Liquid could qualify
yeah,
for Asia if they wanted to. They won't
yeah.
for basic moral grounds. But
Honestly, no, because what I think the new rule from Valve is they pick and Liquid
yeah,
don't
yeah,
pick
no. But
anymore.
I'm saying Liquid won't pick to be Asian.
They don't. I don't think they get the choice anymore. I think
Oh, wait, you say Valve pick now?
Valve, the new rule, as I've understood it, is that Valve picks the region where you are eligible, which would place you the deepest in the event. So in Liquid's case, if they end up being second in NA, but they're first in America, first in
In
Asia,
Asia. Yeah.
yeah, and second in Americas, they would get the Asian spot. Rather than
Just for this, this is one of those things where we instantly start off with the but here's the problem to the rule. It's right there. We have to wait for it to manifest.
Yeah.
Everyone knows they're not an Asian team. That's silly.
Yeah. That's probably the only caveat which is gonna be a problem with that rule, though, because otherwise it's a pretty good rule. Because otherwise it just means that the teams were gonna pick it anyway, but not like if Liquid would pick being in Asia if it meant going straight to top 16 instead of going top 24. I think they would. And even if they wouldn't, that's like for every other teams like Wildcard, they obviously would pick the same thing. So
yeah, but no. The problem is I can't speculate about any other team. I only have to speculate about Liquid.
Yeah,
this is a direct message to Liquid. If you had the pick and you would pick to go be Asian just to claim that spot, you are a rat fuck. Like, you are a piece of shit. Like, just
business.
Straight up. Oh, yeah, just business. I get, obviously, the cold, sociopathic reality of always trying to win and just guaranteeing the money, but we all know that's 50 shades of fucked up, just like we did when we watched drillers fake their way into the fucking Asia region. Like, don't be a despicable piece of shit and lose half your fan base. Go be NA. Struggle. And then you probably still win because it's NA. Come on.
Yeah.
Like,
well, in this case,
right.
they don't. There's no moral shithousery here because Valve are gonna pick. So if Liquid end up being higher than both Mongols and FlyQuest come Invited A, but are below Furia, they are gonna take the Asian spot, and Mongols are gonna have to play MRQ.
Oh, what a shit system. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a really shit system.
Again, a terrible Valve rule that the moment you tell it to me, I look at you, you look at me, we both know it's terrible, like, just instantly. Just like when we're here, the Valve ranking will factor in prize money. Immediately on the show, it's going to be shit. It's going to be shit. It's going to be some stupid fucking, result at the end of this with some sort of tournament that has way too much prize money and doesn't matter, giving someone a boost, and here we are. Imperial FE playing every event for the entirety of 2025 so far. Come on. Give me a break. But speaking of FE, going on to the small site retakes.
Excellent segue.
Excellent segue. Yes. Talking about how fraudulent the attendance of it. But no, we are talking about the impact qualifiers. This is your topic. Talk us through what's happened so far. Have the open qualifiers started? Because I saw the NA ones were starting to come to a close, so they were on HLTV. But I didn't notice the European ones pop up. Are they not reached that point yet?
I don't think they are on HLTV because the top games have finished. I'm just going to check now if they were on HLTV, but Liquipedia does track this stuff if you are.
I mean, if I missed it, I don't go on Liquipedia every day, but.
Yeah, okay. The top 4 teams are covered. So what they've done is the Impact League has been kind of gutted. A lot of rosters have been disbanded, which means they have 5 invited teams out of 12. So they've expanded the amount of open qualifiers. Or open qualifier spots, rather. It's the same 2 qualifiers. But there's an interesting side effect of all of these teams sort of splintering off, like ENCE, Astralis, Spirit, is that we have some really interesting teams which are in these qualifiers now. So it was actually really fun to scroll through this. The qualifier started on Friday, and today. The only game which is getting played today is the 3rd place decider. So the 2 teams which are already qualified are Eco Warriors and Akuma. Yeah, they picked up that name again. So Eco Warriors is honestly a playoff contender.
It's such a nuts team.
Yeah, it's Giuliano and Kiosa reunited after Kiosa was. At this point, I'm wondering why she was benched from Big in the first place. If she's just going to reunite,
they didn't want to win. I think.
Yeah, yeah, and then you have D7 and Viku. Yeah. Then you have D7 and Viku coming over from Navi Javelins, and they picked up Wien or
some shit.
Veen, a Georgian player from previously of K27 who made the LAN portion of ESL Impact last year with Dreamcatchers, last season. It's a stacked ass team. They even have Alcest, the Navi Javelins coach, coming in as their coach. This is a playoff contender, and they should be picked up immediately. If there's an org wanting to enter ESL Impact, this is the first team they're going to negotiate with. The second team they're going to negotiate with is Akuma, which is also stacked. They have Letty and Angelica, both of Navi Javelin's fame. They've picked up Hikomi from Let Her Cook. And they've also picked up Sunside and Shia. And Shia, I think, is really interesting on this team. Because she is really good on the AWP. She was on ENS before.
Yeah, that's where I know the name from. Yeah, sorry.
She might be. There was one Impact season where she was her debut Impact season. She was the closest challenger to Ana, and she was 17 at the time or 18. She kind of fell off in the last season, as did the whole ENS team.
Yeah, ENS went to absolute shit in season 6.
But I'm really excited to see like where that could go, especially on a team with Akuma with really solid players around her. And then our favorite team is playing the third place decider today. When this comes out, this can be finished. Prototype Blaze, also known as the French national team.
Yeah.
We have Julie, Emerald, Coyote, Astra, and Rachel, and we've talked about them. Or Raquel, maybe it would be. Yeah. Rachel. We've talked about them at length. It's a really good team. All of these players are now free agents. I think Emerald has left Wopa. Julie and Raquel were free agents to begin with, I think, or Julie was with permits, I think. But anyway, Astra was let go by Navi Javelins, obviously, and Coyote has also left FlyQuest Red recently. So entirely, like, this team was enabled to form by these. And they're playing Permita, another exciting roster. They have Fatal and Elizabeth, who were on that aforementioned K23 roster or K27 roster, Dreamcatchers. They have retained Victoria and Oxyset from last season, I believe. Yes, Oxyset and Victoria. And then they've also added a player who I'm forgetting who it is. They have added Ayaka, who was also on one of the previous Impact teams on Crescent. It's a cool little stacked roster, but I think the French national teams can take that. There's a bunch of other teams which are worth highlighting here because we have the second qualifier.
Yeah.
When this comes out,
throw something out here.
Sorry,
just to stick on these 4 teams.
Yeah.
It looks like, just on this very limited sample, and I haven't actually watched the game to see what actually happened, that it might be Emerald back on the AWP now. And Cowday on a rifle.
No. When they announced the roster, they actually put the roles up. Astra is rifling. Emerald is rifling. Coyote was the AWPer. They might have swapped that up in the actual game, but in the announcement video, Coyote was listed as the AWPer.
Okay, because in the actual game, I just checked the stats. Only one person has any AWP kills, and it's Emerald.
Wow.
To be fair, they did lose 13-3, 13-10. I don't think they had a lot of time to actually AWP,
but that's actually cool, because Emerald is a really good AWPer.
Yeah, Juiced AWP pretty well, so...
Yeah. I'm gonna be extra hyped for this team if it means that Emerald is gonna be in the AWP.
Yeah, I mean, back when they had Emerald rifling, Cowday AWPing, you technically had an AWP and then 2 hybrids in theory, because Astra has also in the past AWPs and AWPed fairly successfully. Not necessarily always as a primary AWPer. So, no, that was always an interesting element. But yeah, Rachel is like the player you're looking for. If you want this team to succeed, you better hope she's banging heads, because she's she's the aggressive player, typically very hyper aggressive. When they had their best runs on Let Her Cook, when they made the grand final, I think, or top 4 at the actual Impact LAN, it's her just dominating teams.
Yeah.
And then France FE as well. It was a combination of factors, but her entry play was critical. So that's the player to watch. But yeah, for me, curiosity I had to lock in on for a second was like, are we changing AWPer? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Given the extended break of Emerald not AWPing and Cowday, playing a pretty good level with the AWP all throughout. Bit of an odd choice for me, but I guess it could just be an anomaly of this one series.
Yeah. I think Eco Warriors and Akuma going through was a given, and I think this prototype. Sorry, what was the name again? Prototype
Blaze.
Prototype Blaze is the org name. I think they definitely have a good chance of winning tomorrow. But the more interesting qualifier to me is the second one, which is starting tomorrow when this comes out. Fun thing about Impact qualifiers, they are single elimination, but all of the games are best of 3s, and they're conducted over 3 days, which I think is an interesting quirk. And it really removes a lot of the randomness of BO1s. So if you're somebody who really dislikes BO1s and open qualifiers, I think most of us do, watching the Impact qualifiers is actually really interesting because you really see which teams are actually good and which teams aren't. But there's when I was looking at these qualifiers, there were 8 teams I think could make it through, and I want to highlight a couple of them because we have 4 spots going to that second qualifier where Eco Warriors, Akuma, and either Prototype Blaze or Permita are not going to be playing because they're already qualified.
Yeah.
So I want to highlight some of them here, and I'm just going to run through my list. I made a thread about this on Friday. First of all, AKA Hero, another national team. They picked up the French national team. And there's a couple of players here. Finnish. The Finnish national team. Yeah. Nordic champions. They beat the Swedish national team there. I think they did pretty good in IESF as well. I can't remember. Oh, they might have lost out in the qualifier, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But anyway, it's a stacked team with a lot of good talent. Valde and... or Waldi and Milo come over from ENS. And then Silje and Piku left Elite Clan Violet. Piku is insane. Legitimately insane at the game. And then they also have Amy B. And they have a coach who I don't know who it is. But AKA Hero Kajo is what they're named. And I think they have a solid chance of making it through. I think they got a rough draw. I think they had to play... they were upset by Saw Mist, which is a decent team. It's not one of the ones I think are going to qualify, but it's a team which has been around for a while. Saw's women's team. Moving on, No Mercy. Crescent, it's basically the core of Crescent, who finished last year, but they beat Aegis G, and they played really close maps against both Big and Dreamcatchers at one point. So it's definitely one with potential. They picked up some other players around it. We have Elite Clan Violet. They stacked up with the K10 core of Moraltis, Tess, and Madam. And Tess is cracked as shit. Moraltis is like a player we used to watch a long time ago.
As a veteran. She's a veteran of the scene at this point.
A veteran in-game leader, previously of Spirit. She's been around for years at this point. So it's a very cool roster, I think. And it's a roster which could go quite far, especially with 4 spots on offer. But yeah, Permita, if they lose today, another team worth talking about. We already mentioned a bunch of their players. And then also Slay and Spray, which is Ada and Emsan from ENS. We have KitKat, previously of Astralis, Kitty TM, she's played with Letter Cook. And then we have Julie, a Brazilian, I thought it was interesting, a Brazilian player, previously of Fluxo Demons, who seemingly has moved over to Europe to play Counter-Strike. Because she has been around for quite a while. It wasn't just that she jumped in for one qualifier or something. But yeah, Fluxo Demons, also a decent team. At one point, they were basically the only team contending for finals in for the Impact League finals out of the South American League. It was them and Furia. And I think at one point Furia didn't even make it for one of the seasons, and Fluxo Demons were here. So solid team. I think they made playoffs one time in the LAN section. In any case, solid team, solid players, and it's one of those. They got an unlucky draw in the first game where they faced AKA Hero in the first game, and it was a close game, but they lost. So second qualifier, I'm gonna be excited about that. I'm gonna watch a bunch of those games. I was debating maybe streaming it, just as a plug, but yeah, it's these qualifiers are really fun, and I think this one more than any other one, more than any one previously, considering how stacked this field actually is with ex Impact League talent. It's really cool, and if you're like. If you are somebody who watched the Imperial games, like Imperial FE games, and you thought, well, maybe I should check out some of these Impact games, then, you know, this is what you should do. You should watch these qualifiers to start with. So yeah, check them out.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun one, I think. For me, obviously, the big game is today. I'm hoping the French ladies don't need to bother with the second quali. Today, I think they should be. I mean, honestly, I think they should be favourites in a lot of the games they play. I think they had a better chance to win than actually might seem apparent on paper. When you look at the roster they faced in that first qualifier, it's kind of another super team of everything. Like everything the women's scene has to throw at Imperial FE, right there with Kyoso, with D7, with Viku. Like holy crap! Like
yeah. And they're qualified.
monster
They won
roster.
in the opening. They won their game in the first qualifier.
Yeah, they beat the French ladies, which I'm talking about.
They destroyed them. They played Imperial FE in the final Trade It, which is this online event that runs a couple of times.
Yeah, went 3-2, right? Like,
3-2. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bloody fucking war. That wasn't just a game.
Yeah, it's as close as it gets. It's like them and Furia FE, I think, are the only ones who have played games against Imperial FE in the Impact circuit and made it that close. So, yeah.
Since Navi Javelins were full Polish, sure.
Yeah, but they didn't. I don't think they played it that close.
When they were full Polish, you mad? Yeah, you're misremembering.
Okay.
Don't worry. Go look back. When they made those changes, I was like, "Are you dumb?" And yeah, I was right. They were. That was silly. You shouldn't have changed. The full Polish roster was the roster.
Yeah, and they shouldn't have dropped them. But now we have a shit ton of talent.
Yeah, just all over the shop for everyone else to use. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Eco Wars, actually Eco Wars, when they played Imperial FE and lost close, had Cowday.
Yeah. Navi Javelins, the international Navi Javelins roster beat Imperial FE in the last Trade-It.
Oh yeah, in Trade-Its they did. You said Impact, so
3-1. The circuit, the general circuit.
But all right, onto my little small site retake, which again I'm just talking about Counter-Strike here. Like games played, Parivision and Jame. I prefaced this earlier. I built up to it. I foreshadowed it like a good writer or a very large man as the sun rises. I've been following along what they've been doing, this Parivision squad. Now with Kickert calling, Jame returning, what are they actually going to be up to? And after the first two games, it was a bit rough. They lost to, who was it again? Sinners and Monty, 2-0, both times. Sinners and Monty being fairly reputable tier 2 teams, play good CS, have some talent. Sinners most notably recently adding Peepo, who did top frag that series. But what's been amazing is since then they have dropped only one map to Rebels, but beat 9, beat Rebels, beat Sashi, and then also beat the world famous, world renowned, already crowned lineal heavyweight champions of the world, Spirit Academy. And Kyosuke bearing the brunt of that hype. And the way they've played is they have done a lot of what I call like outsiders/VP shit, like Jame calling shit, with like those big last second rotates into an empty bomb site, the extreme lurking, all these little details that have carried over despite, it's not Jame calling. It's still Dastan coaching. It's still Kickert and Jame together. That's what I'm saying. They're reunited and it feels so good. And Jame is just smurfing. In the last week, to be fair, in the last week, doesn't have those 2 losses. Even though he did, I think, play pretty well in those losses as well. He's got a 1.37 rating. And it's not just, his death rate is low, obviously, he's Jame. He's got a 0.84 KPR. He doesn't lead the team in openings, but he's far more assertive on that side of the game than he usually is. Jame is having a revival, essentially, and the reason I wanted to talk about this, it's quite important. If you're Virtus Pro, you've picked your horse, right? You've gone electronic. All right, get in front of the carriage, hook you up, pull us to victory. And if the guy you've just left behind at some points comes galloping past, playing his style of CS, playing with rifle talents of Belchonok and Nota and Travis. I mean, Travis isn't really the talent of the team. He's just a role player on this roster. But if he comes through playing with his former coach that you let go, playing with a former player you could have, I think you let go at some point or way back in the day, it's going to be rather embarrassing. And with Jame playing some of his best CS, you just think, man, that's going to be ugly. I mean, I know Icy's playing good. He's playing good. Like, Icy's playing pretty good. Especially when he's got his all power. But the way Parivision are building momentum, the way they're playing stylistically, and the fact that they're just winning right now, I think it would have me concerned if I'm Virtus Pro. But it's insane to see this sort of immediate revival from Jame. He didn't take sometimes we see players, back in the day when Tier 2 was shit, and a long way away from Tier 1, you'd actually see when Tier 1's players go down to Tier 2, they would just play terribly because they'd be just cripplingly just depressed, just out of it. Like, it's my assumption. Like, they'd just be completely mentally gone.
Yeah.
James has just taken it as a kick up the arse, and he's just gone, all right, fuck you. Just straight away. And he's dominating. He's doing so many good things. And sure, I mean, I already have had some like problems. I'm watching like, oh, we're giving Belchinok some of the roles I want Note to have, and Nota's kind of having to play like Fame on VP during their best. You know, he's not the Yekindar of this team. He's the Fame of this team. I guess I remember when the eras overlapped, but that's kind of the roles I'm seeing here. And whilst it is typical, I mean, he's my prospect, so sure, why not have his career exactly mirror Fame's? But so far, I have been impressed with the overall look of the roster, how they've played their CS. I mean, still, it's stylistically, it's a bit off meta, it's a bit fucking weird, but they execute it at a high level, and it's more fun to watch. So, yeah, genuine concern if you are Verse Pro that these guys can catch you, and also genuine redemption for Jame because Parivision had to justify to a lot of people why they would bring him in to just AWP.
Yeah.
So far, so fucking good. He's not leading, but as I keep pointing out, it's Dastan, Kingt, Jame. They've been the three vocal important parts of the rosters for years and years and years and years. Kingt has second call. Kingt has called on certain maps. He's called during stints where things were rough. That's the trio that matters.
Yeah. He is really solid, and he's been really solid. A lot of players tier 1 players who step down into tier 2 just really end up, you know, it's really, even if they do it while on a tier 1 side, a lot of the reason why a lot of these teams end up falling is because it's just a different game. It's a lot more like ballsy playstyle. It can be a little bit random, and you're not playing from home, might not even be all that comfortable if you're somebody like, say, Nico. But Jame has really taken it in his stride, and yeah, I'm not really sure what it means. It's going to be really fun. Honestly, as a bit of a VP hater, it's going to be really fun if Parivision pass them. But they're also kind of screwed at the moment. I think they've only played unranked events at the moment. They managed to secure an invite to one of the CCT events.
Yeah, CCT 16, which is the unranked one. But they are currently doing well. It's just, will they have the invite for the next one is the question.
They secured the invite by playing with Alpha for a couple of games. But then as soon as it went unranked, I think they just said, fuck it. And we're like, well, now we can just play with whatever roster we want. This event doesn't matter. And they also do have the ESL Challenger League thing where they've gone 2-1 up. And I think again they're playing with Alpha here. Yep, they're playing with Alpha. They need to keep the spot. That is ranked though, and there's a lot of series to be had in ESL Challenger League, so they're probably going to be ranked one way or another. I'd say they can win. They can win Challenger League for sure. They're not too far off winning Challenger League, and then suddenly they're in ESL Pro League at that point. So, or even, I think they might need to come second even. It doesn't even necessarily have to mean winning it. So, yeah, good job. I'm still wondering a bit why Artfrost is gone, but yeah. If nothing else, yeah,
just watch the game. You don't need any more justification than that. Just watch the game.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, good job.
Jame is fucking people up. That's why. That's why he's gone.
Yeah.
They put their faith into him becoming a star AWPer again, and he has been.
Hell yeah.
That's the great part. Short and sweet, I think, on that section. We can go into the Eternal Shuffle because a lot to report, obviously, given the time of the year, but still some things happening, some little changes, some roster movements. Let's begin. Into the Preach. Get embezzled, as is put in the show notes. What the hell's happened here? Give me the rundown, because I actually have I heard about it, I was like, haha, that's funny. But I never went and looked into it, because it's not my cup of tea. You know, I'd rather watch another demo than read 15 articles to figure out what the hell happened. So what did happen, Mr. Reader?
A lot of people are familiar with Into the Breach, one of the premier United Kingdom-based esports organizations. They have a CEO, or had a CEO, whose name is Slade the Minotaur. He's become a bit of a profile because he's actually had really solid takes about the esports industry. He's proven to be very knowledgeable about this stuff, and he's gotten a lot of like attention for like, you know, he was in CoffeeZilla's gambling video and stuff.
Oh, okay. There you go. Okay.
Yeah, he's a solid in terms of knowledge about esports. He's proven to be a solid guy. I'm just gonna say that. So a lot of people know who he is because his takes they get a lot of attention. He at Into the Breach, I think this would have been Monday or Tuesday. Into the Breach posted a public statement saying Into the Breach are quote unquote winding down operations. Where upon further recent, I'm just going to read it out. Recent events at ITB have highlighted significant mismanagement within the organization. Upon further investigation, we discovered that an individual entrusted with all financial and monetary decisions was embezzling funds for personal use. And this has left ITB in an unsustainable position, and with deep regret, we must begin the process of winding down our operations. So yeah, ITB are shutting down. Because they didn't say who it was. Like ITB didn't say who it was. He came out pretty quickly with a lengthy statement about what had happened. Slay the Minotaur, the CEO. I forget what his actual name is. STM is just what I call him. It's him. He has embezzled, he has embezzled. According to him, what he's done is taken out. And he's pretty candid about the fact that he's done something wrong. He has taken out $600,000 in personal loans, which is something you could apparently do as a CEO. It's just that he hasn't done it properly. Like he's done it at the incorrect times. He hasn't done the procedure. He's just taking the money basically. And what he said is that he's basically spent all this money on benders, basically, like drugs and alcohol. So yeah, I mean,
Top lad, that's what we like to see. None of this bullshit like, oh, pay my house, my kid's sick. Nah, just get fucked up. 600 grand worth of blow and booze, and I'm assuming strippers, because what the hell else are you going to spend 600k on? What a legend. Yeah. That's the degeneracy I hoped the story would come down to. Not, oh, I took the loan at the wrong time. Nah. Cocaine, booze, and strippers.
Hell to the yeah.
Either this guy has a fucking single fucking hole in his nose at this point, or the price for a gram has gone up like crazy. 600k, bud.
Yeah, this is probably over a number of years.
I'd hope so, but come on.
Yeah. ITB they obviously got a lot of money from qualifying for the Paris Major. Paris Major was the biggest in terms of revenue. Even to this day, it's the biggest by far in terms of revenue given to the teams. And I think he disclosed something like, ITB in total in 2023 and 2024, basically they had about, I think what he said was like, it's a total of about $5 or $6 million in terms of revenue. And he's taking out $600,000 of that for personal use. Yeesh. He did say that everything has been paid off. There was a dispute about salaries, which he mistakenly signed some contract. It was really weird to me because it was with the player salaries for Into the Breach. When I read it, I understood it as he was like, I understood it as like he was saying, oh, we paid them too much. But that doesn't really make sense because they didn't. He said everything had been paid off, and then Rallen came out and he was like, you are lying, my brother. I have not been paid. I'm just going to read this. Honestly, this is another one. Sorry, this is a serious situation, but Rallen, he did put up...
It is kind of funny for us, though.
The tweet he posted was a bit seized-esque in the writing. You know what did you sign? Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, there's unpaid salaries. There's a lot of... primarily, there's a lot of staff, which I think is even more fucky-wucky because they don't have the big salaries and still they're not being paid. And a lot of people are just going to forget about it. This happens a lot in esports where staff which doesn't really show, like nobody sees them from the outside, they are often the ones who get screwed over. And that's been the case for Into the Breach as well. The roster is dropped. They're playing under the Money F tag, or have played CCT and stuff.
Yeah.
They're going to keep playing. And public service announcement. If you did like Into the Breach, if you want to support the people who are, need their salaries paid, they have a 50% sale on their store, which is also, they also sell like some like cozy sweatpants, like lounge wear kind of thing. Weirdly enough, under like it's a really expensive brand, but yeah, they have a 50% sale. You can read about it on their Twitter. All of the proceeds go to paying off those salaries. And I almost bought a jersey. I thought it would be really fun to ironically wear an ITB jersey for Retake the Week, but then I realized I didn't like them nearly enough to pay 30 euros for shipping that to Sweden. Even ironically. But if there's a lot of ITB fans out there, if you ever, thought about buying a jersey but it was too expensive, this is the cheapest it's gonna be, and you are giving $0 of your money to this asshole. Yeah.
Legend. 600k.
Yeah. When I told you about this, you said.
Vendor.
When I told you about this, your reply was, "We should start an org."
You tell me 600k. The only white powder that comes out of that 600k, if I'm the one running an org, is on my skis. Because, bro, I own those skis. I've got the sleaziest fucking outfit. Like, my pants are baggy. And I am skiing fucking 1 month a year, minimum. That's what I'd embezzle money for. Sure, a lot of Jägermeister and whiskey in between, but like, mostly just ski money, bro. It's so expensive to be, like, fun these days. And you don't need Coke for that. Don't need Coke. Should be carving white powder, not lining it up. But yeah,
damn,
man, what a story! What a wild story.
Yep. Oh yeah, the caveat of having to, if you want to pay unpaid salaries, is Muya gets money. So if that's a problem for you, then you shouldn't buy merch.
At this point, who cares?
Yep.
Ghost re-enter CS with a women's team.
Yes.
I didn't even check who was on this. What the hell?
I was a bit blindsided by this. It's Emulite, Mira, Piggy Kiki, Sevenlicious, and Ellie.
Okay.
Yes, okay. Sevenlicious has moved back to the States.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Her and Piggy Kiki were on Evil Geniuses before.
Yes.
And then Emulite and XP3, who's the coach? I remember him. Emulite and him were on like a mixed team which was playing Impact quite a bit. It was the Karma thing with the Canadian Rain, and Ellie was also there. So yeah, it's a team which has had to play the Open Qualifiers. They qualified through the North American qualifier in joint first place next to Nouns FE. It's a neat little team. It's cool that it was cool for Sevenlicious to move back to the States, because I think I've talked to her about that in an interview, and she said it was really nice to live in America, but EG were really shit. And another esports kind of thing. I think she got a bit fucked over with money wise and stuff. But this is cool. Ghost are back. Ghost, the old organization, just as a history lesson for anybody who wasn't around at that time. Ghost had a several North American teams between 2017 and 2019, basically. Yeah. Notable members of these teams, Steel was there. That was one of the teams where like Steel was making his comeback post ban, and and he was actually putting up a solid performance with that team. And that was one of the teams where like people went, Steel should be unbanned because this team should be at majors, basically.
Pretty absurd logic on its face.
Well, yeah, the ban itself is pretty absurd in hindsight. So.
Well, the duration of it, the fact that they were
the duration of it, yes. The duration of it is quite absurd. Sub Rosa was there, Kusta was there, Freakazoid was there, Crystal was there.
Ghost were they're a Call of Duty org, right? Primarily, like that.
I think so.
That logo can't be anything else. That or Halo. Those are the two. It's console shooting. Like that's what that logo gives me vibes of.
Yeah, Wardell is the other big guy who really broke out with Ghost.
Okay. Right, yeah. Interesting little team. Maybe... No. I was about to say, maybe they can challenge FlyQuest Red. No, they can't. Imperial have added Che Jesus. Che Jesus. I don't really get this move at all.
Yeah, Imperial's second team have made a move. And it's been Phelps who left. And I think it's been rumored that Che Jesus are yeah.
Oh, this guy. No, sorry, I just saw his picture. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tropa de Taco. Yeah, he's on that team. He was Fluxo before. Yeah, he's not a bad player, but it's going to be
Yeah.
hard to replace Phelps 1-for-1. Imperial have bigger issues anyway.
Sorry, you just let that slide that I called them Imperial second team.
I'm not going to cry over it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know
Aha,
anything.
you got me.
I don't know anything about this guy. I don't think I'm not particularly high on Imperial at the moment. They're not really doing anything. They're playing CCT and stuff, and they're doing fine, I guess. Yeah. They have good players like Decenti and No Way have been really good when they get the chance to face really good opposition, which is impressive considering they came basically literally out of nowhere. So that's cool, but Imperial seem to have done nothing with that whatsoever. So yeah, Jay Jesus also a bit of an unknown. So
I mean, he was on Fluxo, on Sharks.
yeah,
You'll know him if you watch Brazilian CS, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Phelps is a household name. So.
Yes, exactly. And Tropa the Taco. Oh, Taco's on the. Okay, I get the name now. I just thought they were fat. I thought they were just talking about tacos, like they really like tacos. I was like, but no, it's Taco's troop, and yeah, Shea Jesus put up some banger numbers. They won every series they played. Yeah, I can't see them win games, sure, against like Brazilian teams. But yeah, okay,
solid.
It could be worse.
Could be worse.
Up move. Sangal, I'm gonna need a grade from you on this one. Unveil their new roster: Kriaz, Blitz, Calix, Danists, and Beanox.
I think they have done fine, and it's going to be an A-.
They've done fine. It's an A-.
Yeah, it's a solid move. The minus is just Beanox because I don't know. I don't like this guy too much. I think he's been half solid, half bad at various points in his career. But he's 24 and he's been playing since the pandemic, and he's never stood out enough where I think he was a slam dunk signing for Sangal. Calix, great. I think a lot of us predicted, me included, that Sangal was going to pick up Calix when Jota left, Jota came back to Eternal Fire, basically. Because Calix is solid, and he's a really good pickup for Sangal as well, to bring, the element of experience into this team and such. Blitz and Krias, two of the better parts of Eklot, which was a solid team last year. Krias as well, first time in-game leading, and now he's going to hopefully get the same jumpy effect that LNZ had, because Jumpy is still being here. Danist's Betboom Reject, who has actually done pretty solid on space after the fact, switched over to Alping. And for periods of time, he's done it really well. For periods of time, he's done it quite poorly. But I think he's going to keep doing it here. I don't see anybody else being an obvious hopper on this team. But then it is just Beanox, who I just don't quite know what he's doing here. And if I had to guess, unless he proves everybody wrong in a youngster-esque way, I would assume he's the guy getting dropped. But yeah. And a second minus is that the Sangal team is starting from nothing, because they have nothing. Yeah, they're starting from nothing. They have to play open qualifiers. They don't even have like the Parivision thing of being able to use your benched player to accept invites. They just can't accept invites. So we're gonna see them. I think the first time they're going to play an HLTV game might be if they make it through the open qualifier for IEM Dallas. And then there's also open qualifiers for Blast Open at one point or another. That's probably when we're going to see them first. And that's also going to be the first ranked matches. So that's where you're going to have to keep an eye out if you want to see these guys.
Yep. I'm not particularly moved. I think maybe just because they have Kriaz and Blitz, they can probably fudge some wins through tier 2. I'm just not overly sold on the overall construction.
No, this is not a team. This is not a team I see reaching the same heights as the old Sangal team did. Like, I don't see these guys winning Challenger League in this year. But I think they've done pretty solid in terms of a fresh rebuild. I think they've picked up some quite solid pieces. And if nothing else, it's a pretty good starting point where I could see them like gradually upgrading players as need be to. There's a couple of players here that I obviously could see reaching those Sangle heights, which could enable another sail to a tier 1 org at some
But
point.
not Beanox, and that's the...
I just don't think Beanox, no.
I think that's the conclusion.
Yeah.
All right, B&E have reformed. Next.
There's a lot of... Some people were excited about the fact that all of the old Bad News Eagles players were now free agents and they could reform. I'm going to be honest, that just means they splintered, had different projects, and all of them failed. Like, it just means Juan Flatro and Synopsy Into the Breach happened, and they weren't particularly good in the first place. Rigon flopped hard on big. Cenari had Drillus, which obviously amounted to nothing for his part, since he's now back in Bad News Eagles, and then GXX was just around in some random Orgless team or other. To me, it just means that, well, they tried and failed, so now they have to run it back with Bad News Eagles. And I guess that's cool, but it's not overly exciting to me.
Okay. Yeah, I don't care. I think they're going to be kind of mid.
Yeah, they're not... Fuck, this is the kind of thing which could absolutely backfire on me. They're not going to make a major. That's what I'm going to say. They're not going to make another major ever again in their lives as a team.
Okay. Right, final move of the selection. Wildcard Academy is finalized. Friend tagged Sisen, Wonder, and TMKJ. I feel like, why is... My first reaction when Friend gets signed to this project is, what? And now that I look at the full roster, I'm just like, that's what you ended up with?
Yeah.
All right, prove me
Fair.
wrong. But I'm incredibly unmoved.
They ran the gauntlet in the ESEA Advanced Open Qualifier, and they made it through. But they've also made 2 roster changes since that point, I think. TMKJ and Friend were not there. So, also, TMKJ is somebody who I think has never been particularly impressive anywhere. Like, even Portuguese people don't really mention this guy as a prodigy from their country, but he's here now. SN, no idea. Astralis Talent player. Do you ever watch Astralis Talent games?
Yeah, but he barely played. And when he did, he was very forgettable.
Very.
Like, I think there was one demo where he hit some shots, like, and I wasn't watching him, obviously. I was watching Croc, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember saying, like, oh, maybe it's worth watching from Essen's POV. And then I checked Essen's just history, like, the games, and I'm like, oh, that was his one pop-off map.
To be fair, even the Astralis Talent players who end up being pretty good look shit on Astralis Talent. It's maybe...
or they just get released for playing too well, I think.
Yeah.
He brought everyone else's morale down by being too good. Go away. So yeah,
obviously their vision.
That's where I'm at with that team.
Yeah, I think this could be... They're in advanced. I'm just quickly going to check how they've done so far in the league. Because being in advanced is pretty cool. That's like, I think... Well, Navi Junior and Spirit Academy have probably stepped up, but that's where they were last year when they were really good. So, yeah, let's see how they do. It's at least a couple solid players.
But all right, that brings us to our final segment of the show, as it is every week, Prospects of the Week. Let's get into it. I'm going to start us off with my pick, because my pick's a banger, and yours isn't. I've decided.
The fuck? You haven't even heard about it yet.
Yeah, I don't care. I've taken Ziello of Gun 5. Now, Gun 5, when they lost to Nier, was supposed to be terrible. Supposed to be dead in the water. Supposed to just no longer be a team that can win anything. And whilst that hasn't been entirely incorrect, they did win one, lose one this week. In terms of best of threes, Cielo has stepped up massively to replace some of the lost impact. Now, he's not doing it in any new ways. He's still like the hard opening, hard entry guy. He's not magically switched roles to try and fill into Nier's sort of lurking playstyle and trading. He's not doing any of that. That's what Fine Shine was brought in to do. Hence why they're not winning. But Cielo himself has taken on that heavy burden and given us quite an impressive week. A lot of very sharp shooting, making Gun 5 honestly still cling on to relevancy within the tier 2 space. Like they took quite a loss in Tnir moving over to Heroic. at least for now. And so I want to give credit to the player who's kind of filling the firepower void as best he can. Despite already being one of the better fraggers before, he's now just doing even more. And so yeah, it's Yellow, my prospect of the week. Pretty impressive Russian talent. I mean, there's so many of them, but he's one of the best right now.
I think he's probably the next guy to get picked up out of this team because they have Tania got picked up, and I think Giello was linked to GamerLegion. I have no idea if that was anywhere near true, but that was something which happened, which was talked about. Solid player. Always has been. Like he's been talked about for a long time now, I think, and even then he's still just 19. So yeah, I hear a lot of people like this for somebody who isn't Kyosuke or equivalent. I saw a lot of people hype about GLO like at the end of last year, where people were like, people who otherwise wouldn't be talking about prospects were like, I checked this guy's demo out and he is cracked as hell. So really cool player, and I think he's gonna be the next 10-year kind of signing for some sort of tier 1 or tier 1.5 side at some point. So yeah, maybe VP when Electronic has run his course.
When they eventually get doomed, as you so predicted. But all right, who's your pick? Explain this.
My pick is GTW, who plays on Red Canids' Academy. And I picked this guy because I think this week or last week, he won Brazilian, or he won South American FPL. And he did that while being 14 years old. And then they also finished second in some sort of cup event, which I think is it might be his first run at HLTV games. Oh no, he's had a couple. He was destroying. He was the one guy for Red Canids Academy destroying stuff, and they finished second. They beat Pain Academy, which is like, I don't know about the current state of their of the Pain Academy team, but there are Pain Academy players who have moved on into pretty solid positions later on. So fair state of that Academy team in terms of history, and he's just destroyed them. So yeah, this kid is like, he feels like a new Snow. Like, if we already have to talk about a new Snow, but if you're going to pick who's going to be the next guy to come through, like with a lot of experience at a very young age, sounds like this GTW kid. Winning FPL is like, I mean, look, it's FPL, it's a different thing, it's not competition, but that's that's good. Like, especially if you're 14, because you're going up against all of these like old heads, and like, you know, Donk used to win a bunch of FPLs, and I think Kyosuke is winning FPL now as well. Obviously in Europe, but same deal, same difference. It's a nice achievement, and definitely coming second year as well. It's like, cool. This could be somebody we see on a solid team in 3 years. But I'm just putting in my ballot now for this guy.
Right.
Yeah.
I get the hype. You know, very young, winning FPL. But
I haven't watched him. I'm just gonna say I didn't watch his games. But
when was the last time you actually watched a prospect that wasn't Swedish? Like, that's the real question.
I'm going off stats here.
It is. Stats for the last week. Let me see. Does he even have him? Does he have any games in the last week?
Yeah, they played that cup. They played that cup. It's some Brazilian cup. Liga Gamers Club 2025 Serie A January Cup.
Oh, well, they beat Pain Academy and lost to Flow Ripper Stars. Yeah,
some old heads. I mean, it's just like, it is once again. It's once again the Male 09 kind of thing, where like doing average,
just a little baby.
Yeah, doing average or slightly above average at this sort of age is already like so much more than anybody else in your own bracket is doing, and that's sort of what makes you stand out. It's not anywhere near a guarantee you're going to be good, but it's very much like, here's the foundation for you being good at some point later on. So yeah, that's sort of why these sort of players get talked about a little bit. And here's
I'll download that ancient demo. I'll take a look.
Yeah, check them out
from the Floripper Stars game, just to see what he's doing.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, that's the show. If you made it this far, you're my hero. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Leave a comment telling me your thoughts on any of our takes, especially all those IEM Katowice takes. Tell us how terribly they've aged, given that Monday I won't give a fuck. Actually, I'll probably be watching the games on my phone as I sit in an airport. with my friends,
Mhm.
planning our degeneracy as we go to carve the sweet white powder of Austria. But yeah, I'll be curious to find out how everything goes. There is going to be some member content next week. Otherwise, I don't think there's going to be a video until the next Retake the Week for everyone. So
Cool.
members do get some special treatment. I have got that ready in advance.
Yeah.
Normies don't, so sucks to suck, I guess. But all right.
Yeah. Follow me on Twitter. There's where this week's quality content is going to be on my Twitter page.
Anyway, funny joke. Yeah, but sub for more members, as I said, get all that extra bonus special stuff. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one.